Whether we like it or not, we'll be smashing each other on the 3DS for 5 months before we get the Wii U version, once again giving us another compelling reason to keep those gray Nintendo chargers plugged in somewhere close. The system has seen an alarming resurgence in the past few years, and once we saw there were clearly 10, more like 20 games that could fight for the system's top honors, we couldn't stop talking about it until we made a list. If you've never picked up a 3DS and can't resist the urge to smash this summer, here are 10 other games you can pick up that easily top this handheld's impressive library.
Number 10. Shin Megami Tensei 4.
Most people associate the Shin Megami Tensei moniker with the Persona series, but its origins stem from a much darker place. A decade after Nocturne's Skeleton Matador beat players into submission on the PlayStation 2, SMT4 pits law and chaos against each other on Nintendo's most stereoscopic handheld. Portability hasn't dulled the Shin Megami edge one bit, as it turns out. Consistently brutal boss fights, a sprawling apocalyptic Tokyo, and ever-engrossing demon fusions will have you playing until your battery blinks red. We may not get a mainline Shin Megami game very often, but as SMT4 shows, it's always worth the wait.
Number 9. Etrian Odyssey 4.
In a lot of ways, Etrian Odyssey 4 feels like an anachronism. The game has far more in common with classics like Wizardry or Might and Magic than any contemporary JRPG. Virtually every fight is a struggle for survival, since even the most basic enemies can end the life of a careless adventurer. Unlike past games in the series, however, Etrian Odyssey 4 is willing to make concessions without sacrificing its identity. Adjustable difficulty levels and less monotonous dungeons remove the tedium, but keep the tense battles that require a delicate balance of defense, recovery, and power. Together with a map-as-you-go exploration that actually makes the game feel like an adventure, Etrian Odyssey 4 is not only one of the best role-playing games on the 3DS, but any modern platform.
Number 8. Animal Crossing: New Leaf.
Players have been paying off loans to Tom Nook since the N64 and GameCube, but Animal Crossing's 3DS entry has managed to make the series feel new again, amplifying its social nature with play systems that really benefit from a connection to your community. Being the mayor gives you more control over the look and feel of your town than ever, letting you invest in projects that really make your town a distinct destination for visitors from across the world. Its measured pace takes a long-term investment to bear fruit, but it can quickly become a part of your daily routine, perfectly suited for portable play.
Number 7. Super Mario 3D Land.
Mario has had a long history with Nintendo and their handheld systems, so it was no surprise when Super Mario 3D Land was announced for the 3DS. According to fabled creator Shigeru Miyamoto, he wanted to bridge the gap between 2D and 3D Mario games, and the result was near perfection. With tight controls, clever use of the system's often ignored 3D tech for gameplay elements rather than gimmicks, and a beautiful soundtrack, 3D Land is another platforming win for Mario. The little guy always makes it look so easy.
Number 6. Mario Kart 7.
Mario Kart is about playing with friends, slamming into them, throwing shells at them, and swiping the lead. It's the original social game, and the portability of the 3DS means you can make the party happen anywhere. True, Mario Kart 7 doesn't stray from the Mario Kart formula. Its customizable vehicles and hang gliders are nice touches, but the core gameplay is pretty much the same as the SNES version. But that's okay, because that gameplay, and some friends, is all you need to create some of the most memorable multiplayer you'll find on the system.
Number 5. Luigi's Mansion.
Like a lunar eclipse, this dark moon is something special, something to behold. Luigi's Mansion is a misnomer, as Luigi actually busts ghosts through many haunted abodes, each with unique floor plans, laced with secrets and puzzles to tease out, with the magnificence you'd expect from a modified vacuum cleaner. It blows, it sucks, it rules. It's nowhere near the biggest game on this list, but it's easily one of the most detailed, with attention paid to both the ghostly inhabitants and their dwellings. Throw in an intriguing multiplayer romp as well as the constant search for cold hard cash, and you'll find the reason why 2013 was the year of Luigi.
Number 4. Bravely Default.
Bravely Default lets the past and the present meet in a glorious harmony of established lore and updated gameplay. Playing a port or remake of any Square Enix RPG released before 1996 is typically accompanied by the sense that RPGs have become much more accommodating this century. But Bravely Default gives you all the nostalgia with none of the waiting. Random encounters? Optional. Combat speed? Lightning fast. And the story? While it's never fun to have to play the same game 4 times, the repetition is saved by lots of witty banter and that classic old-school charm.
Number 3. Pokemon X and Y.
While the new Pokemon installments are somewhat guilty of being more of the same, the latest pair of monster-catching titles took probably the biggest steps into new territory. Previously obscure and confusing mechanics were made transparent, and new refinements to the interface and battle systems improved the accessibility and pacing. X and Y also introduces us to the Mega Evolution, which quickly became a game-changer by tinkering with the cherished mechanic left largely untouched since the days of Generation 1. Throw in a vastly improved online experience and clever Street Pass functionality, and you'll clearly see this is one of the best evolutions the franchise has seen in a long time.
Number 2. Fire Emblem Awakening.
We're still impressed that a turn-based strategy game with over 40 playable characters manages to make each of them uniquely interesting and strategically viable at the same time. On top of that, the way this cast interacts with each other is not only genuinely engaging and sometimes hilarious, but it all carries a purpose when you're back on the battlefield. Fire Emblem Awakening is well written, awesomely designed, Tharja's in it, and despite being the 14th game in the series, it manages to feel like something we've never played before.
Number 1. The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds.
There's a saying about the folly of reinventing the wheel, but sometimes it's good to go against the norm. A Link Between Worlds manages to break many of the tropes of the Zelda series' established formula to deliver something truly special. Abandoning the notion of obtaining items strictly within dungeons and having those same dungeons' puzzles tied to the use of that newly acquired item, players could now obtain key items at their own leisure. This opened the game up to multiple paths of progression, something not seen in the Zelda series in a very long time. Add a stellar soundtrack and a touching story with a great twist at the end, and you have the makings of a legendary game.